when we self-anchor ourselves, we find that our consciousness, we find ourselves at our maximum potential. If we look at Bharat through its Dhar moral lens, it naturally leads to the question so often debated. Can Bharat truly become a Vishwaguru again?
There is no denying that. That is the destiny of India, because that is the plan of the divine. The world has to move from the age of falsehood to the age of truth. That is the destiny for which India was prepared. There was a yuga cycle, a wave like Fletcher's waves. In the case of India, in the case of nations, particularly Indian civilization, the wave is in terms of thousands of years. So, we were in the trough, now we are on the ascendant. It will take time. It is not that it will happen overnight, but when it will happen overnight. This is something like what Ashtavakra said to Janak. Janak wanted to know, can the spiritual realization, does it happen in the fraction of a second, the moment one climbs a horse and gets astride a horse? He had read about it, that it happens in a jiffy, and he wanted to know from people. Then Ashtavakra explained to him, of course there is a long story to it, I will come just to the main crux of the story. He explained to him one thing, that when change happens, it is slow, tedious in time, but when it happens actually, then it happens, it seems like it has happened suddenly. It is like, I do not know, you do not have, I think, a rural experience. I belong to a village, and we used to also have poultry at our place in my native village in Kashmir. So, when this hen would sit on the eggs for them to hatch, so for 21 days nothing happens to the egg, you think nothing is happening. Suddenly one fine morning the shell breaks, and
there is a new life.
There is a new life which comes out. So, this sudden change, its change seems sudden, but it is not sudden. There is a process which is, so change will happen, but it is happening, smoldering, you could say. Suddenly the Agni will rise and will transform into Surya.
Some call it a destiny, others call it a dream, but perhaps it is both. The idea of Vishwaguru Bharat is often misunderstood. Some see it as arrogance, while others view it as a destiny. How do you define this idea in contemporary terms, sir?
You see, it would have been arrogance if India were to tread the path that the colonial countries did. The colonial countries were led by self-interest. The whole gamut, the whole paradigm of development, economic development, as Alfred Marshall would put it, that of the market economy, is driven by enlightened self-interest. The finger of God is the self-interest. India does not see it like that. For India, this is an opportunity. When we talk of becoming powerful, we talk not just about ourselves, we talk of partnership, collaboration. We do not talk of competition, conflict, subjugation, domination, because India understands Ik Noor. In Gurbani it is said, you will have to stop here, so because I am forgetting the lines. Look, out of the one is born the multiplicity in English. So, these are multiple formations, they are formed out of one. The one is the quintessence, because India has this kind of a vision, whatever it will develop, whatever, when it will develop, it will not seek to dominate, it will seek to
Share.
elevate,
Elevate.
share the vision, share first the vision and then the wealth, the prosperity. भाई हमारे यहाँ देवियाँ जो हैं, सरस्वती पहले है, फिर लक्ष्मी है, सरस्वती ये बहनें हैं, दुश्मन नहीं है. So it is not arrogance, it is something inevitable, because it is the divine who is expressed himself in this world.
Beautifully said, sir. भारत की ये डेस्टिनी हो या एरोगेंस, एरोगेंस तो खैर होगी नहीं, बट इवन इफ इट्स अ डेस्टिनी वी शेयर. इफ भारत इज टू ट्रूली बिकम अ विश्व गुरु, what must change, not just in policy but in the mindset of its people, especially its youth?
The consciousness. I'll again and again hammer only one thing.
Consciousness.
Consciousness. Because as I told you right in the beginning, I referred to that, those two experiments in quantum mechanics. Whatever happens in this world, you create the world which you think of. Your world depends on your consciousness. Even not just this, even in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, there is a line, God said, let there be light, and there was light.
Even Gandhi ji also says, be the change you want to see.
Be the change that you want to see in the world.
Yes.
So change has to begin from you, and within you it has to begin from your consciousness. How do you envision, how do you see the reality? Because that is what is going to structure of the world, and that is why in the Ved we have two words, Satyam and Ritam. Satyam is the truth of being, and Ritam is the truth of becoming. Becoming where change happens. What is old is not new, everything keeps changing, and Ritam has to be in line with, in assonance, in alignment with Satyam. That is the Ritam. When Satyam and Ritam are established, the world becomes a beautiful place, and that is our vision of a Satyug.
Do you think our educational institutions today are doing enough to instill pride, purpose and perspective rooted in Bharat's civilizational thought?
I don't see it. That's very sad to say. We are teaching functional skills, we are teaching domain knowledge, we are teaching everything except
our own culture.
Our own culture, we are not connecting our youth to the richness, to the depth of our intellectual culture, spiritual culture, from where we could draw sustenance and power. That is the sad part, and I have been in the education sector for over 40 years in public universities and in private universities, both places, both in public and private educational sector. I don't see it.
Professor, your words remind us that leadership is not about dominance, it's about direction. And direction must come from depth, from a lens that sees beyond the obvious. As we close, I like to come back to the essence of the show, the lens. When we say through Bharat's lens, it's not just about how Bharat views the world, but how Bharat helps the world see itself better. When you look at the world through Bharat's spiritual and civilizational lens, what do you think the world needs to learn from India more urgently today? What does the world need to learn from Bharat today? If you were to give one message to India's youth who wish to serve their nation, not just economically, but morally and globally, what would it be?
The world definitely needs to learn from India, and let me tell you, the world is already learning from India, only Indians are not learning from India. The world is already learning. I have been to Europe, I have stayed there, my son is in Europe, and I have seen that the world is already immersed in it. They are talking about it, the intellectuals are learning it. They are talking about all this interpretation that is happening in the world as of now. It is coming from those centers.
So we can say that the Western intellects, they are learning from India, but the so-called intellects of our country,
The Western intelligentsia, the
They're
Western
not.
educational centers of educational learning, centers of learning, they are focusing on this learning. But my lament is that here in Bharat, where there should be such centers of learning, where are they? I do not see them. If they are in hiding, they are hidden from view, they are not so prominent. They are in mathas. I do not want them to be in mathas. They should come out into the open, into the secular space, to use a terminology taken from the West.
And finally, Professor, if through Bharat's lens is about how we see the world, how do you define Bharat's lens in one line?
Bharat's lens is dharmic. Dharma is the greatest contribution of India to the world. But unfortunately, even this word has been semantically mutilated, and dharma has been brought to the level of religion. There can be many religions, but underlying all those religions are certain universal principles of sustainability. That is dharma, and that is what India always espoused and highlighted. But unfortunately, we in India also have fallen into this trap. We have turned dharma into religion.
Thank you, Professor, for reminding us that Bharat's true strength lies not in what it conquers, but in what it awakens within itself and within the world. This was the Worldview through Bharat's lens. I'm Vaanya. Until next time, keep your vision sharp, your roots deep, and your lens truly Bharatiya.